Welcome to Holiday Romance here at Continual. I'm your host, Gail Z and Morgan Brice. And tonight we're going to be talking with romance authors about why we love holiday romance, as well as what we personally love to read, what we've written, and maybe share some secrets about what we really, really like to watch. So let's get started. AJ, tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm AJ Sherwood. I write a little bit of everything. I primarily do fantasy, so high fantasy, urban, paranormal. I do have a couple of contemporaries. And I recently decided to play with Jocelynn Drake, and we did a Dragon Shifter series. And that is our Christmas book for the year, was from that series.
Awesome. Nancy.
I'm Nancy Herkness, and I write contemporary romance and romantic suspense. My current series is called The Consultants, and I'm afraid at the moment it doesn't have a Christmas book included in it. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Lynn.
I'm Lynn Michaels, and I've been publishing romance for about 6 years now. I write a bunch of everything, so paranormal stuff, contemporary stuff, sports romance, shifters, just everything. Anything that interests me, I want to take my hands on. I've got several holiday titles, so hopefully we'll share some of those with y'all tonight.
Oh, we'll get to all of that stuff in just a minute. Jocelynn.
Hi, Jocelynn Drake, and I write paranormal romance. Also, I write romantic suspense. I write part-time with Renda Elliott under Drake and Elliott, and then I write part-time with AJ Sherwood as part of Sherwood and Drake.
Cool. And Beth.
Hi, I'm Beth Bolden. I primarily write contemporary romance. I have one fantasy title out. I mainly write chefs and sports romance, but I'm pretty much well known for chefs. Usually if there's like a comment, does anyone have any chef books? Usually I come up. Weirdly, despite the fact that I write a lot of books about food, I don't really have any like cooking books about food. So, I mean, that's kind of odd, which is something I'm going to have to fix eventually. But I have been doing more sports romance this year, and those have been really awesome. I'm really excited to do more of those.
Very cool. And I'm Gail Z and Morgan Brice. As Gail, I write epic fantasy, urban fantasy, steampunk, and more. And as Morgan, I write male paranormal romance, which is where I tend to have the Christmas books. So let's talk about our Christmas books, whether they are what people usually expect or not. And I'm going to go in reverse order and pick on Beth again.
Well, actually, I was thinking about this. So I have two. I only have two Christmas books. I tend to write books that kind of subvert expectations. So I have one Christmas book that is co-written with Amy Wasp, as you might know. She writes hockey books and she writes the pros and cons series.
Mm-hmm.
We wrote a book. I wrote a baseball player. She wrote a hockey player. They meet in the worst airport in the world, which is LaGuardia, and they get snowed in. And one of them is older and one of them is younger. And there's very much a kind of mentor-mentee mentality. And it was a really fun book to write. We really had a great time. I literally wrote it while we were driving across country, moving to North Carolina. So I would actually not recommend doing that. I'm literally sitting in the hotels at night, like typing furiously. My other book, that's a holiday book, is called Wrapped with Love. And that is a book about a football player and a chef. And it is a reunited lovers romance where it's kind of got a dual structure, in that I tell the story of how they met and started dating, and then they broke up, alternating with them reuniting in present time. And it's really fun. It takes place in LA, which is where a lot of my books take place. So there's kind of like palm trees with twinkly lights and tacos, and they basically end up working for the same company, and they have to kind of reconcile their history, as well as some very meddling friends who do a secret Santa that embroils them in further shenanigans. But those are my two holiday books. Not a lot of them. I need to write more. I was going to write one this year, and then my schedule got full, and
Awesome. I totally understand the writing while you're on the road. I have written more parts of books in hotel rooms and occasionally on my iPad while we're driving. Not while I'm driving, while it's my husband's turn to drive. But it's kind of amazing. I always joke that it's sort of like, can you write it in a box? Can you write it with a fox? Yes.
Right. Well, we were under a deadline because, I mean, obviously, if you don't finish it in time to release it, I mean, you might as well not do it. So we were in a crunch. It was really exciting in a way that I would rather not write books again. I'm not really one of those exciting book writing people. I got slow and steady, done early. Like, yeah.
Hey, we do what we have to do.
Yeah, that's right.
Jocelynn, how about you?
Oh my. All my readers probably know that I love to make things explode. And eventually I need to take a break every once in a while from all the explosions. Like, you know what? I'm just going to write a Christmas book, just the sweetest thing you can possibly think of. And one year I wrote, my first one was called Walking on Thin Ice, and it was a fake boyfriends. And I absolutely fell in love with them. And I didn't really think that it would resonate with readers because there are no explosions other than, maybe the sexy kind. And there was a best friend in that story. And it's like, everyone's like, but what about John? John needs his happy ever after. So I came back the next year and I wrote a second chance romance with John's story. And that is what was it called? Ice, Snow, and Mistletoe. And then my third one came back because, now I'm having fun. We've started a trend. So I played with another trope that I'd always want to do, which was an enemies to lovers workplace romance. That one was called Snowball's Chance. And then I figured, let's just finish it out, make it a quartet. So one of the characters has an older brother who was newly divorced. And man, he needs Christmas love. You can't let that guy go, man. He needed some Christmas love. So I did a bisexual awakening age gap for that one. And I've had an absolute blast writing all of them. That one was called Defrosting Jack. So, and then it was probably like fall when AJ tapped me and goes, we could sneak in a Christmas book this year. And I'm like, you're insane. We could do this. We could totally do this. Like, yeah, okay, let's do it. So I'm gonna let AJ talk about our dragons Christmas book, but that was the other one that's coming out this year.
Oh, that all sounds like fun. Lynn.
So I have 4 Christmas books. Whole Shot Christmas is in the Whole Shot series, and it takes a look at the first 2 characters, Davy and Tyler, later on in their relationship and how they're doing and some of the things they're struggling with. And it's fun. Those 2 are like always going at it. So there's plenty of sex in that one. And then I have 3 of them that are more paranormal type. So Cupid's Christmas Arrow is kind of a take on Cupid, but at Christmas time and what happens to him. And then because Cupid needs some love too, so that one's fun. And then I wrote 2 with Ecstasy Books. Frostbite Christmas was my take on Jack Frost, and Jack Frost is a bad guy and he's trying to do bad things, and I start with an established couple and put them through their paces while their love is being threatened by Jack. So that one's a lot of fun. And then also with Ecstasy was last year's, and it was part of their 12 Days of Christmas, and I got the drummer. So Call of the Drums is more contemporary with a slight little paranormal twist to it. So it's a battle of the bands. It's my first kind of rock star romance going on. So, but 2 of competing band members that are in different bands start having a relationship, and something very strange happens when they play together, when they play the music together, and then that's where the little paranormal twist comes in. So they're fun. And I'm getting ready. This year I'm not doing Christmas. I'm doing a New Year's. I did a New Year. Actually, I did a New Year's short that's for free last year, which was about a glory hole. So that's a little crazy, a little racy. But this year I'm doing kind of a daddy boy story for New Year's as well. So that's coming up after the first of the year. So real excited about that one. It's the first daddy boy thing that I've done.
Nice. Nancy, whether it's Christmas or winter or Christmas adjacent, how about you?
Christmas adjacent. Well, I have two full-on Christmas novellas, which are about as different from each other as you can get. A Down Home Country Christmas, as you can tell by the title, is set in the country. It's set in West Virginia as part of my Whisper Horse series. I grew up in a little tiny town in West Virginia, so I set the series there. And this one's very community oriented. It's about when the favorite nativity scene, the town's favorite nativity scene, gets destroyed by a drunk driver. The town bands together to repair it, and it's got all the feels, and I had so much fun writing it. I mean, there's one scene that's so like schmaltzy, I couldn't even believe I was doing it, and I loved every minute of it. It just made me so happy. So that one was fun on that sort of aspect of things. And it's a single mom with two young daughters, and then the town cop, so it's like it's got all the small town stuff going on, which was tons of fun. And then I went to my Wager of Hearts series, and this is called The Irishman's Christmas Gamble, and it's set in Manhattan, and the heroine is a billionaire. So the hero is an internationally famous soccer player. So very sophisticated urban setting, and the billionaire chocolatier, who's the heroine, it's the Grinch trope. She doesn't celebrate Christmas. She hates Christmas. And so it takes the soccer player and love to introduce her to it. And it has a secret child in it, not baby, but child. So that one was fun for completely different reasons. All the billionaire stuff, being able to buy gorgeous Christmas ornaments to decorate the tree she never wanted to put up, and all that sort of thing. So I had a good time with them, I have to admit.
That sounds like that sounds like a great time. AJ, we hear you have dragons for Christmas.
I have dragons for Christmas. It's quite fun. So I do a little bit of a mix when it comes to Christmas stories. Like I do the books, but I also do other things. So let me start with the books. I've got two at this point. You've only seen one because the one that Jocelynn and I have written together obviously hasn't come out yet. That's a after Christmas release. The first one was Brandon's Very Merry Haunted Christmas. And I did not intend for that thing to launch a series. It did. I'm now working on book 3 of the series. But it's set in a real place. It's set in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, where he travels through a hotel. He's just there for a couple nights. He likes ghosts, so he thought it'd be fun to stay in a haunted hotel. He picks up a snow globe, takes it home, gives it to John for Christmas, and there's a ghost inside. And shenanigans ensue from there. It was just too much fun. Brandon started taking over my brain, so it's kind of how I have a spin-off series of my John's mysteries. And then I did poke Jocelynn at one point going, hey, Christmas story. But what she didn't mention to you is that while I'm poking her and messaging her, I'm walking in a mall that's 2 stories. I'm on the 2nd story, and behind me is my editor, who is like, I will push you off. We do not have time for another project. I will push you off. And I'm like, no, you love me. This is a good idea. So I had to kind of talk people into it. But I feel like it was a lot of fun. We've basically got a mage over in Georgia who's not sure if dragons are still alive yet or not, but he's got a scale. He knows how to do a finding spell. So he keeps using the scale to do a finding spell. And he keeps trying over and over because this finding spells have a limited range. And he's not sure if he's even in the right continent. And eventually it connects. And the dragon it connects to is like, who is tugging on my tail? I feel the tug. So he starts to follow the feeling to figure out who's got, a scale of his. And then, of course, more shenanigans ensue. We had too much fun just because we were taking them through Brussels and Germany, and it's Christmas, and there's Christmas markets, and yeah.
We had to visit all the Christmas markets.
All the Christmas markets. And all the, because that's how we roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. So non-traditional method, I actually do Christmas shorts every year. And what I do is I write like a 2-pager. It's something that's not very big, but I offer it to the fans. If you send me a Christmas card, I send you a card back with the short enclosed. And that has been amazingly fun just because I never know where I'm going to get a card. Like I've gotten cards from Japan, from Belgium, from the UK. It's amazing. And they have a lot of fun with it because they like to do the e-cards that they're international. And sometimes they'll send me bribes for more stories. So I get chocolate from around the world. It's not a bad deal. So every time I've told an author about this, they're like, can I steal this idea? And I'm like, it wasn't mine originally. I actually got it from a fan fiction author who does this all the time. Feel free. It's great for marketing, but it's also a lot of fun. Just as long as you keep track of the cards. I got a little overwhelmed last year. I wasn't on top of them as I should have been. And I got a little bit behind. This year, I'm hoping to stay on top of it. I'm not off to a good start. I hate to say it because I announced it November 2nd that I was doing the cards. And I didn't have any of the stories written yet. And I had like a dozen people instantly respond. I'm like, wait. They're not done yet. I need to write them first. So I'm supposed to get the proof copies back this weekend. Hopefully I'll be able to catch up at that point.
Everyone
was
loves
also-
a good Christmas story.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying everyone loves a good Christmas story. So I could see why there's such high demand.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't have any dragons in mind, but my Morgan and Gail urban fantasy universes cross over. So all the characters know each other and they show up in each other's books. And so I've got basically 3 Christmas stories and then one after Christmas story coming in January. Lucky Town is in my Badlands series. It's got the skeptical cop and the psychic who are in Myrtle Beach most of the time hunting down supernatural killers. But this time, their first Christmas together, they go home to the cop's big Italian family in Pittsburgh. And so Simon, who's from a small, very WASP family in Columbia, South Carolina, where everybody is very proper and uses all the right dishes and has the forks in the right place, is overwhelmed by this family with 10 strapping boys, all of whom are cops, and his buff boyfriend is one of the little brothers. So he's getting in, chokeholds and noogies from his older brother. And this is a whole new side of things. And of course, it turns out there's a killer and a supernatural creature, and it follows them back to Myrtle Beach. Then the other one is also untraditional. It's in the Dark Rivers second book of the Witchbane series. And of course, I write about monster hunters, so there's always a monster. Merry Christmas. And it's also set in Pittsburgh, where Seth and Evan are looking for one of the witch disciples that they're hunting. And so they actually end up spending the actual holiday at with one of their monster hunting friends who's a former priest who now runs a halfway house. And so they spend the holiday with Travis and Brent at the halfway house, helping to take care of all the people who are staying there and who are benefiting from the services. And so they keep them company. And then this last year, I collaborated with 4 other authors on Christmas at Caneham Castle. No, 7 other authors, Christmas at Caneham Castle. That was 7 authors, 7 different couples, 1 fictional castle in England at the same holiday ball. So we had to do a lot of coordination to make sure that we all reported where the 30-foot Christmas tree was, so it didn't end up moving all around the yard and everybody's story. Oh, look, it's over there. So we had to make sure we had all that right. Mine was the only male story, but everybody had a great time with it. And it actually used a couple from my Deadly Curiosities series that I write as Gail. they're a long time established couple, but with the Gail stuff, there's no explicit sex. With the Morgan Brice stuff there is. So this is the first time Tegan Anthony kind of got to have on-page sex. It was sort of a big deal. And so they got to go to the Christmas Castle. And then in January, I'm part of a multi-author big winter giveaway. And that'll be set in my Kings of the Mountain series, which I always describe as if you mashed up Dukes of Hazzard and Supernatural, you'd have Kings of the Mountain. So yeah, a lot of different things going on. Now, you've talked about the Christmas romances you've written, but when you put on your reader hat, what do you like to read when you're, you know, in your blanket fort with your fluffy blanket and your, you know, your pet and your hot chocolate or beverage of choice? What really just warms the cockles of your heart? Nancy?
Do you mean specific books or sort of tropes?
You can do either.
Well, so I did homework for this panel. So I read some books because I decided I should sort of be up on the more current holiday stories. So I did Hanukkah because I was interested in that. Waiting for a Miracle by Jennifer Wilk, and 8 Nights to Win Her Heart by Ronnie Denholtz. And of course, it's interesting. The Hanukkah romances and Christmas romances use the 8 days, 12 days trope a lot. So these were both 8-day trope. I mean, obviously the title of this one, you know, lighting the Hanukkah, the menorah, and it gives you this timeline, right? So 8 days to win her heart. So if you don't do it in 8 days, tough noogies, right? So those were a lot of fun, I have to say. The one I've really enjoyed recently is called, what is it called? Return to Christmas by Anne Stewart. This is a full-length novel, very different. It's time travel, and it's a little dark, actually, but wonderful. So the heroine is contemporary. She loves Macy's, the department store, and she's had a really bad day, and she walks in through the front door of Macy's, and she's suddenly in Macy's in 1947 instead of in the current day. And there she meets this a man, Johnny Larson, who's the window decorator and display decorator, but he literally lives in Macy's because he was in World War II in the Resistance, and he has really severe PTSD, so he sort of hasn't been able to return to normal life in 1947. And you know, it's really interesting. She deals a lot with sexual harassment is a huge theme in the book, and it's actually, believe it or not, worse in 1947 in some ways than it is now. So, but I thought it was an absolutely terrific book. I really loved it. I highly recommend it. So that's me.
Nice. Lynn?
Yeah, I love Christmas and holiday. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I love Christmas and holiday books. I read a lot of it this time of year. So what I really like, though, I mean, I read like everything, but what I really like is something that's a little unexpected, something that's a little surprising, some kind of twist that I wouldn't have ever thought of. You know, and then like Winter Oranges from Marie Sexton is one of my favorites, and I reread it every year because it's just so well written. And it's kind of a ghost story, but it's not. And it's not, you know, exactly Christmas, but it's holiday, it's wintertime. And it's just really, you know, just one of those stories that has that little twist to it. And that's kind of what I like. Anything that does that, I think.
Okay. Our internet's dropping in and out tonight. Jocelynn, how about you?
Oh my, I didn't do nearly as much homework as Nancy did, unfortunately. So I'm gonna wing it. Let's see. Gosh, I'm trying to think of where I've got like a secret love of Regency and Victorian Christmas stories. Way back when I love the anthologies where you get just a bunch of authors writing in the same time period. I don't know why that appeals to me. It's like old-fashioned Christmas. And I love those stories. It's pretty much, I like, the where somebody's in a horrible place and you're looking for that Christmas miracle. I want to see the Christmas miracle. I want to see one of the heroes swoop in and save the day and swoop the heroine or the other hero off his feet. And I want all the schmaltz. I want all of it. Just layer it on really thick. We're trying to think more currently. God, I devour so many every year. One of my favorites that's just standing out in my head is May Archer's from the O'Leary series. I'm probably going to get the name wrong, but I think it's called The Night.
Mhm.
But it's got just like this tiniest hint of paranormal where it's like, is that really Santa Claus? Was that really magic or not? And I'm like, I love it. You can get away with so much more during Christmas because it's Christmas magic. So yeah, I tend to read all over the place, but yeah, those are some of my favorites.
Very nice. Beth?
So I was thinking my very favorite holiday story, I know that you guys have probably already talked about this at one point, is the remaking of Corbin Whale by Rowan Parrish. If you haven't read it, it is an incredible, incredible book. It is a Hanukkah book, but you're talking about magic, and magic like infuses that entire book. Like it doesn't ever get explicitly magical, but it feels very much like I forget the name of the type that's like it's like regular contemporary, but then there's like a magical element. But it never quite gets there. It's just the writing is so beautiful and lyrical, and it's just a really stunning story. And there's also some incredible baking that happens in there, which obviously is something that I'm interested in. The other thing that I really love, and I actually was lucky enough to read an early book, a book that's not out yet, but will be coming out, Brigham Vaughan's Cabin Fever. I love a snowed in trope. Man, if they're stuck in the same room and there's only one bed, I am like there, like 100%. I actually wrote a book that is that story. It's just not a Christmas book, but it takes place in like January and they're snowed in this horrible snowstorm. And I can literally read 1,000 variations of that because it never gets old. Like, especially that moment where they go, oh, there's only one bed. And I'm like, yes. So that Brigham Vaughan's book is definitely kind of like that snowed in, like we're stuck up here, we're in this beautiful magical bubble and nothing can really touch us. And I think there's like a beautiful, like kind of subtle magic in that. And of course, then all hell always breaks loose whenever the bubble is broken. But it was a really good book. You guys should check it out when it comes out. I'm like becoming Brigham's like PR person apparently. But those two, Cabin Fever by Brigham Vaughan and the remaking of Corbin Whale by Rowan Parrish, two very high up there on my list for Christmas books.
Very nice. I'm an absolute sucker for Christmas series. So every year, everything in Vale Valley. AJ, I think I found you through that Snow Globe story and that whole series of Snow Globe books where every book had a snow globe that somehow had a major impact in the plot, and sometimes people were in the snow globe and sometimes they got stuck in the snow globe and sometimes the snow globe was magic. It was really cool. There was another series that dealt with the Christmas angel, again multi-author, where there was a wooden carved Christmas angel and it kind of came to the person who needed it the most, and the book series moved through time as each person got their angel and eventually found their true love. I am a total sucker for that. And then one standalone, Merry Christmas, Mr. Miggles by Eli Easton. Just, you know, it is just so warm and cozy and comfy and lovey and just, you know, it's a good time read. So those are some of mine. But yeah, if I can read my way through an entire Christmas series with a common thread, I am very, very happy. AJ.
You know, funny story. So I started reading Mail pairings when I was like 21, 22. And I started with manga. And then I went to fan fiction. And I did not know that you could actually buy a book, a male paired book, until like 4 years ago. That was news to me. So I actually started really reading the books 3 months before I published Fourth Point of Contact. So I'm way catching up. Like there's so many different authors I haven't read. There's so many, my keyword list is not, that's not pretty. So at this point, I only got to read like 3, I think, from last year. Snowball's Chance was one of them. I didn't realize that was book 3. I need to now go back and read the first 2. There was one I read that was really stupidly cute. It was a vampire who was basically the Santa Claus without intending to be. He just kept donating to different children's orphanages and different drives, and I can't now remember the name of it, but I read it on KU and I was like, oh, this is really cute. And like an idiot, I didn't either buy it or write down the title, so now I have to go find it again. And then I think the only other one that I read that it wasn't really Christmas themed, but it was set in winter, was Lucy Lennox's Hay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was really good as well. But unfortunately, by the time that we hit Christmas season, I was crazy busy trying to get Brandon's out, so I didn't get a chance to read much. And now I have even more Christmas stories to catch up on.
It's all good.
Yeah. And yes, I have a purring cat in my lap because I'm allowed to do absolutely nothing in this house by myself.
Well, it's a Zoom call. I don't think it would be official if we didn't have somebody's pet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the way it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of your favorite movies? And Die Hard totally counts as a Christmas movie. It doesn't have to be, you know, an official Christmas movie, but it can be. TV specials, TV show episodes. You know, if you're going to settle in, and yes, Hallmark totally counts. If you're going to settle in on the couch and have a snow day and just binge watch, what are you going to watch? Or what do you have to watch every Christmas season? Jocelynn.
White Christmas, hands down. I grew up on it. I need to see Danny Kaye tap dancing across the screen. I need to see Bing Crosby singing White Christmas. I need, you know, Rosemary Clooney walking out on him because some big it's not Christmas. I wrap gifts to this movie. It has to happen. So that one is sort of like the year's not complete. My family has a tradition. We have to watch Christmas Vacation because in so many ways that is my family. And like romancy, I know this isn't a very popular one among people, but I swear Love Actually just gets me. There's certain parts where I'm like, Alan Rickman, I love you, but I'm so mad at you right now. But I do love that movie.
All right. Lynn.
Hey.
He's back.
You guys are troopers with some of this internet craziness that just goes with Zoom. So thank you for that. But how about you, Lynn? What are some of your favorites?
Are we talking about Christmas movies now?
Movies, TV shows, holidays, whatever you have to watch.
Yeah, you know, oddly enough, I don't watch a lot. I don't watch a lot. I do like the classic kids Christmas movies like Rudolph and all of those. I like to watch those, but I don't do a lot of watching Christmas specials or Christmas movies, honestly. I'd rather read it. I've read them all. I like to do the reading, but I don't really watch a lot of TV Christmas movies or whatever. So I can only think about like the classic kids stuff. I watch them with my grandkids.
That's cool. Nancy?
Well, I think Jocelynn and I were twins separated at birth because she picked my 2. Love White Christmas. Sisters. Sisters. Love that. And that moment where all the soldiers come to the inn for the general. Oh my God, I cry every single time. Every single time. It's not like I don't know it's coming too, but I'm weeping. And Love Actually is brilliant. And like you, I think the Emma Thompson, Alan Rickman storyline is just incredible. It's so well acted. It's heartbreaking, but it's so well acted. And who does not love Hugh Grant dancing through number 10 Downing Street as the new PM of England? I mean, that is just, it's sublime, sublime. So yeah, those are my two too. Sorry, I'm not very original.
That's okay. You love what you love. How about you, AJ?
You know, when I was a kid, I wore out the Nutcracker tape, just completely wore it out. And to this day, that's still one of my favorites. I take my mom to see the live theater production that they do. In Tennessee, we have the Nashville Ballet Troupe, and they do the Nutcracker every year. So I tend to take her to that. But when it comes to movies, I think Rise of the Guardians is probably my favorite. I really enjoyed that movie, and I really enjoyed the message of it too. So I tend to rewatch that one a lot.
Nice. I'm a sucker for the classic, not just Rudolph, but How the Grinch Stole Christmas and Year Without a Santa Claus and all of those Rankin Bass claymation stop motion ones. And I just love those. I'll watch them over and over again. We have a few that are a little more obscure, like Santa's Magic Toy Bag, which is a Muppet one that nobody else seems to have ever heard of but us, but it is on DVD. It's about this elf in training who doesn't seem to be able to do anything right, and he melts the candy canes and he, does the cookies wrong. But then he finally redeems himself and it all works out. Of course it does in the end. And then there are two new ones that I recently found that I love that have to get added to that list. One is Klaus, which is a new Netflix original, but it's a really sweet story. And the drawing style, if you remember the Christmas book called The Mitten, with that very Scandinavian style of art, it's kind of got that going for it. So the art is very pretty as well as the story. And then there's one called Arthur Christmas, and he's Santa Claus's youngest son, and he's not supposed to inherit the family business when Santa retires. It's supposed to go to his very corporate, we have to do everything by the metrics brother who really doesn't have Christmas in his heart. And Arthur has 365 ugly Christmas sweaters, so he can wear one every day of the year because he lives for Christmas. And you can imagine hijinks ensue. So, that's what we're watching along with Muppet Christmas Carol. So, you come to our house, I'm sorry, that's what you're stuck with. We'll feed you cookies. How about you, Beth?
You stole mine. Arthur Christmas is like my favorite Christmas movie. I love that they managed to make Christmas logistically possible. Like that is just like the coolest freaking thing I've ever seen. I'm like a big fan of logistics, so that does it for me every time. Plus it's a really heartwarming story. Obviously White Christmas too. In my book Wrap with Love, they literally have a White Christmas watch-a-thon, and they reenact the sisters dance in the book. So that's how much I love it. Other movie that I have to say is Elf, because Will Ferrell is very hit or miss for me, but he is really good in that movie, and it's very, very heartwarming and sweet, and also very sweet if you have seen any the scenes of him eating like the syrup over the spaghetti, and that is kind of just crazy. But that's my husband. A must watch is Elf usually, and we also usually watch A Christmas Vacation as well, because he really loves Chevy Chase. So, but Arthur Christmas, if you haven't seen it, you need to see it. It's fantastic.
It is. I'll second that. Well, folks, believe it or not, we are pretty much close to the end here. I'd love to have everybody go around and tell us where they can find you online. And if you do have a new Christmas story coming out, or just one you'd like to remind us about, tell us about it. And that way it's fresh in our memory. AJ?
Okay, so you can find me on Facebook. I have a group called AJ's Gentlemen. I'm very active in that, and you can message me there. I also have a website, ajsherwood.com. My Christmas book with Jocelynn is called Wish, and it will be out 1st of January, I think is what the due date was. Yeah, 1st of January. And it'll be a free giveaway on Prolific Works for a bit. We have mages, dragons, castles, all the good stuff.
Sounds good. Nancy.
I'm in all the usual places. Well, no, actually, probably fewer than most. I'm on Facebook, and I have a website, nancyherkness.com, and I have a newsletter. If you sign up for my newsletter, you get the Irishman's Christmas Gamble for free. So sign up for my newsletter. You can do that on my website. And thank you very much for having me.
Nice, very nice. Lynn.
Yes, I'm on Facebook. I have a readers group, Lynn's Looney Bin, and they're a very interactive, crazy bunch. So they're fun there. Also, lynnmichaelswrites.com for my website. I'm also on Instagram and all the rest of them too. But you'll find me where there's interaction at Lynn's Looney Bin on Facebook, because I'm always in that group talking to people and doing crazy things and hanging out. And,
oh, wait, back to Lynn. Yeah.
My holiday story is actually, it's a New Year's story. It'll be a free prolific works after the first of the year. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be called It's New Year's Eve, Daddy.
Cool. Jocelynn.
Hi, let's see. So I'm in all the usual places. My website's jocelyndrake.com. And then I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Jocelynn Drake, awesomeness. No, Jocelynn Drake. And then I have a reader group with Renda on Facebook, which is Unbreakable Readers. And let's see, for books, let's see, I have Breath with AJ that's coming out at the beginning of January. And then this year I've also bundled all of my Christmas novellas together into one wonderful bundle. So you can read all 4 novellas in one shot. It's awesome.
And Beth.
I am also in all the usual places, but most active on Instagram at Beth Bolden Author, and also on Facebook, Beth's the Boldest. I'm at bethbolden.com. You can sign up for my newsletter there. I also, not surprisingly, have a New Year's Eve story coming out for the Winter Wonderland giveaway, which will tie in with my brand new food truck series. So that'll be really exciting. It's called Kiss and Tell. And that'll be, like I said, coming out January 1st. So that'll be available as a free download. So make sure to look for that there. But I'm really excited about it.
Sounds like fun. I'm real easy to find also as Gail Z Martin and Morgan Brice, both of those.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. My reader group for my romance is Worlds with Morgan Brice. I try to make it really easy. And in that Winter Wonderland giveaway in January, I've got a Kings of the Mountain Christmas story called The Christmas Spirit. And since I write about ghost hunters and monster hunters, you can be sure it will be a real spirit. Folks, thank you so much for being here with me and for braving the crazy internet and a few little, disruptions in there, but you guys have all been troopers, and thank you so much for that. Thank you folks also for watching and listening. We will be back with more holiday romance here on ConTinual.